All right, welcome back. Today's topic, persuade for good. Sell like a
Yes.
girl. We're talking about $1 million impact, changing the world kind of girl. And
Mm.
so let's say hey to Macy. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Judy? Honestly, I'm the thing about leadership is you know who you're talking to based on the leader that you're talking to. And since I know who you are, I have an idea of who's listening on the other side of this. And all I gotta say is it's a good group of girlies. So I am so blessed and honored to be here. Seriously. So thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I can't wait. Let's be real here. It's no secret that women tend to struggle with sales
Mm.
because of the way they think about it. They think about that nasty car salesman type experience and they want no parts of it. But we know that women are the best at sales, right? Because
Mm.
it's about innate God given empathy and relational skills. So I'd love
Mm.
for you to set the room here for the next 30 minutes and frame a right perspective on selling, especially selling as a woman.
I love how you said we have this like car salesman mindset. And you think you're like, oh, that's a sales experience. But what you don't realize is that you have sales experiences every single day, but they slide under the radar as just normal experiences. I know my dad, you floss, but like not everyone flosses like every day, even though you should floss. And every time you go to the dentist, they're like, you should really be flossing. But I don't know if you know this, but like your heart health and your gum health are greatly connected. In fact, so much of your gum health is connected to everything in your body. And my dad had some heart problems at one point, and he couldn't. Long story short, he was at the dentist, and for the first time in his life, the dentist didn't just tell him to floss, he persuaded him to floss.
Mm-hmm.
And he persuaded him to floss so that he could be the grandparent that rolled around on the floor with his grandkids for decades to come. And out of all his years of going to the dentist, no one has actually persuaded him to floss twice a day, every day, like that dentist right there.
Mm-hmm.
And what most people would do is they would have that experience and they'd walk away and say, that's a great dentist. That's a great man. He's such a nice man. That's such a nice woman. She must be an amazing friend. They don't walk away and thinking that was a salesperson. When in reality, that was one of the most critical sales moments of all. It's not just the person advising or telling you what to do or prescribing you what to do or encouraging you what to do, but persuading you on you to do the thing every single day and that you're worth doing the thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that is the difference between a like good salesperson and a bad salesperson. Is a good salesperson is you don't even know that you're selling. You're persuading someone into action, into actually doing the thing. And people that are listening, like if you have coaching programs and you like coach women in health and fitness or business, you are likely telling them to do the thing that they don't want to do, which is study, do your quiet time, read, practice, film yourself, post every day. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. But when you can sell them on doing it every day, it's impossible for them not to have a result, which ultimately points back to you as being an amazing leader. So when you can get sold on learning how to persuade, you will just come off as the person that people want to be around, not as the salesperson. The person who doesn't know how to sell is the one that's coming off as the bad salesperson. But when you master it, when you master sales skills,
Amen.
that's right. You will be the person that people want to buy from before they even know the offer.
That's right. I love it. All right. So, as I said in the bio,
Hmm.
your book, Persuade for Good,
Yes.
how to be a person of influence who changes the
Hmm.
world one conversation at a time. There are a couple of myths
Hmm.
that you bust in there. I just want to kind of
Yes.
riff on some of them. Does that sound
Yeah. Please.
okay? I love this one because you hear this all the time. Value, give value, and they'll want to buy from you,
Yeah.
as opposed to creating desire, helping them want to
Mm.
buy what it is that you deliver. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Like, what even is value? You know what I mean? Everyone says give value. Instead of giving value, I would encourage you to build value. And I love how you just said build desire. That's so good. So when you think about building value, so when someone's like, oh, I have a price objection, my first thought is like, oh, you haven't built the value heavy enough, or sorry, you haven't built the value enough to weigh heavier than the objection. That's all the problem is. So what people think is adding value is educating. They
The how
think
to's, right? The
the
how to.
how-tos, the 5 ways to eat broccoli. 10 exercises to get toned arms. And listen, there is a time and place for that for sure. But here's what ends up happening, Judy. What ends up happening is people see like the post, okay? And they think they'll save it or they'll like it. And they're like, I'm going to do that exercise later. Oh, I like that. But that kind of dopamine rush of saving it and liking it, they think that they've done the thing by just saving it. Like, Judy, seriously, how many times have you saved a post and never gone back to it?
A lot. I'm sure we all have,
Yeah.
right?
So instead of giving them the how to when they're probably not going to do it anyway, sell them on the beliefs that they need to believe in order to do the thing.
Mhm.
And the thing that they buy is the how to. And I mean, the thing is like you can give it away for free 100%. They're just not going to take action. So then that's not valuable, right? So building value is like creating that desire. I love how you said that, and building the beliefs that someone needs to believe in order to buy. So for example, like one of the things that like I really believe that a belief that someone needs to have is like they have to invest in their business if they want to grow their business. That is a belief by far. What most people would do is say, here is like how you invest in your business. You can borrow money through this way. You can like do it this, you can like sell in payment plans. You can offer all these different ways to like quote borrow money to be able to do what you want to do. But instead, I sell people on believing that they are the person that goes down so that they can't go up. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah.
To
So let's
total
talk about that because I know what
okay.
you're saying, go down to go up.
Yeah.
Just that is amazing. When you guys drew that out with the tree and all that, if you can,
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's two types of growth. There's gravitropic growth and there's phototropic growth. So phototropic growth is when a tree or a plant grows up towards the sun in the light. And I want you to think, someone actually just posted an Instagram story of like this huge tree with this huge trunk and all this fruit. And it was like the most gorgeous. People like travel over the world to see this tree. And you see that tree and other people. And that tree is a version of like making a lot of money, having rooms filled, having a huge Instagram following, have a lot of leads. You see the tree trunk in the light and you're like, I want to be that. But what people don't realize is that you can't have phototropic growth without gravitropic growth. Gravitropic growth is growth that happens in the ground, in the dark, in the cold, in the wet, where nobody is looking. And it is impossible to have phototropic growth without gravitropic growth. And gravitropic growth has to grow first. When? It has to grow first. So I want you to imagine a huge tree growing up with tiny little roots. There's like no way that would sustain. A little wind will blow and the tree will just fall down.
Mhm.
But when you have like if there's a huge tree, it is inevitable not to have huge roots. Like it has to be equal.
Mhm.
And so the down growth in business, it's all different kinds of things. It's investing 100%. It's getting told no. It's failing. It's trying things. It's things not working. I mean, I can't tell you how much money I've invested and it just gone down the absolute drain because it just failed. It totally failed. It's the time I sold my very first event and 4 people came. It's the time that we spent $75,000 in ads for one webinar, only to have 4,000 people register, but only 200 show up and like nobody bought. Like that is a gravitropic growth so that the phototropic growth can come.
Mm.
And I see what most people do is like when they go to invest, they look at what they have in their bank account right now. And they're like, okay, this is just enough that I can invest that I feel quote safe.
Mhm. Mhm.
But roots can't go down just enough. They have to go down, like down, so that you can go up. Like this is the law of advancement. I want you to think about like laws are things that apply to everybody. Everybody's affected by the law of gravity, so everybody's affected by the law of advancement. Like a baby has to fall so that it can run, right? Like your muscles have to get weak so that they can get stronger. They have to be broken so that like it applies in everything in life.
Mhm.
And so when you go down, when you invest just enough, just on what you have, you just live on this like just enough mountain, this like you have this just enough tree, it's just good enough confidence, just good enough, I'm just content enough. I'm just comfortable enough. Like it's just, and like that's what you get is a just enough life versus a more than enough life.
Mm.
And I've invested in $1 million coaching program. And part of it, I know that sounds psychotic, and it's not like we're rolling in the dough. Like it was a huge, huge decision, but a huge part was like, I want to go down so deep that like I cannot be shaken because I
Mhm.
know that this law applies to everything.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, like that has been the case. In fact, my coach, he said, you have a greater advantage of anybody that I've ever coached. I said, why? What makes you say that? He said, because his one reason was like, you invested in $1 million program at 31 years old. He's like, that sets you up
Yeah.
for like a life of Photoshop growth because of the graph chart growth. I was like, well, and I didn't understand. I'm like, what does he mean by that? And the more that I'm like living life as the person that did $1 million investment, I'm like, oh, yeah, I see
Is
what
there
he's saying.
anything you can't do? I would
That's what
no,
I feel
right?
like no one can hurt me. I say that and then I'm like, wait, I'm scared to say that because maybe that's not true. But I just feel like knock me down, I will get back up. There's no doubt, you know?
Yeah, love it, love it. I know, and I love how you're a believer in Christ, and that's one of the things that attracted me to you and Kat. That we're talking about roots. We've got to be rooted and grounded in truth. And so
Mm,
I was just doing a live just about an hour ago on imposter syndrome. It is a lie of
yes.
the enemy. And so there's the imposter syndrome. I ask my clients, why do you feel like a fraud? Well, I don't know if I'm experienced enough or, did whatever enough. I'm too old, too fat, too whatever. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Who are you
Yeah.
in Christ? We've got to be grounded and rooted really deeply in our identity, because only then
Yes.
can we stand strong like that oak tree that will not waver no
That's
matter
right.
whatever comes. So, okay, there's lots of ways I want to go. Let me ask you this: persuade for good.
Yeah.
Love that, like, sales is this big thing, but you make it as simple as persuasion. And I really was blown
Yeah.
away when you broke down the definition,
Yeah.
the parts. Can you do that for us?
Yeah. I would love to. By the way, Judy, I cannot wait to watch you sell because you have so much substance in you. I can just see it. It is about to explode in so many ways. Let's go. Yeah, so okay, so I'll start with suede. Like if you break out down the word per and suede. Suede means to advise. And especially with women, we love to advise. We love to nurture and we love to take care of people and we love to serve people and help people. So let me just advise, advise, advise. But like how many times have you gotten advice and like not acted on it? Like I know most of my life has been getting advice and not acting. But per means through to completion.
Mm,
So persuade means to advise through to completion and beyond. So what does that even mean and beyond? Well, you advise someone into a decision to buy, but that is just where the selling begins.
mm,
That is just where the selling begins because you don't want someone just to buy, but you want them to finish everything through to completion. The commitments to themselves, how they see themselves, the things that they need to do in order to be the person to have the result. Like your life is committed to helping people get 2 feet in on everything that they do. That is how I think. I'm
mm,
like, that is my life's work. That is like my life's mission is to get people all in.
mm.
I know this is like a crazy example. It just kind of came to me though. Judy, have you ever been swimming and you were trying to decide if you want to get your hair wet or not?
Oh,
Have you
yes.
have you ever done that?
Lot. Yeah.
Okay.
The older I
And you're
get.
like, do I want to get in? Do I not? And you're like negotiating with yourself. You're like, okay, if I get in, I have to wash my hair, which means I have to go inside a little bit early. And if I have to go inside, you're just thinking constantly about if you want to go all in or not.
Mm,
So much so that you can't even enjoy yourself at the pool. And one way isn't better than the other. It's either don't wash your hair or do wash your hair, like don't get in or do get in. But it's the straddling of trying to decide one way or the other that ruins the whole experience.
mm, mhm,
And so I always tell people, I'm like, hey, once you make this decision, like go all in until the very end. Once we're done, you can decide later if you're like, this is for me or it's not for me, but do not waste a single second negotiating if this is like the path you want to go on. Decision has been made, go all in.
mm.
And that message is like every day, every time I go on a call with I'm like, hey, like all in, committed, persuade through to completion, and selling someone on themselves all the time.
That's
And
good.
that is like a huge part of coaching as well. So when you have the sales skills and you can weave it in with coaching and handle their own objections and handle their disbelief, you are like, I call it ninja level coaching.
Right, right. I love it. I love it. Now,
Yeah.
it's so funny that you said belief. Okay, that's
Yeah.
my next question. The power of belief. Like,
Yeah.
that's the key to unlocking greatness, and it starts with each of us. So I always say success comes as a result of who you believe yourself to be,
So
because
good.
your business can't outgrow you. So I would love you to
Amen.
speak to that, because at last week's summit, like, that was obviously a theme. It is
Mm,
your success begins with you. Unless you believe, nobody else is
mm,
going to believe. So I'd
so
love you to
true.
kind of riff on that.
Oh, a lot of times people are talking to you about your offer, not to see if they're going to believe, but they want to see if you actually believe.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, does she actually have conviction and certainty about what she's talking about? Or is she just kind of trying to get by, trying to limp by? And I know that that's how I've been about certain offers. I'm like, I don't know if I believe in myself. I don't know if I believe in this is the answer. I don't know if I believe, I don't know, but I want to see if you do. And that's why I always say this, like, in order to get certain, you have to be sold. And in order to be sold, you have to sell. And it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? How am I supposed to sell with certainty if I'm not certain? And how am I supposed to get sold if I have to sell? And it's like, what comes first? And the best news ever is that you can sell the payoff right now. Like you can sell today and get sold. So I'll give you like a quick example. We were recreating our material and I wanted to give some examples of a totally different product that no one was selling just to I don't want to play favorites ever, with my students. So I started learning about local honey. We were kind of playing with this like going to market concept.
Okay.
And we were thinking about like a farmer's market. We're like, okay, what's being sold at a farmer's market? Oh, local honey is always sold at a farmer's market. And so I started researching about local honey and I started to learn about all the payoffs of local honey.
Mm.
I learned about how the sugar, it's a natural sugar, which means it will increase and decrease your level sugars, blood
Hmm.
sugar levels much more slowly, which is going to help you sustain energy. So I'm thinking about all the people who like desire to work out in the afternoon or read in the afternoon or do stuff like after the kids go to bed, but they don't have that energy and they don't want to take this crazy pre-workout and they don't want to drink coffee. Like, what if you added honey at an afternoon snack? How much sustained energy you would have? Like, how many more goals would you hit if you
Hmm.
had that sustained energy? Whoa, that's an amazing, okay, payoff, boom. And then I learned about how there's like a antimicrobial properties, which helps soothe your throat. When you have a soothed throat, people actually listen to you so much more. I'm
Hmm.
sure you know this, Judy, but people listen to 8% of your words, but 33% of your tone. So if you can communicate in a way that makes you way more memorable, you'd probably want that, right, Judy?
Absolutely.
Literally, honey will help you do that.
Hmm. Okay. See,
I,
I just think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think you're
no,
masterful at exactly what you're displaying right here.
yeah.
Like, but here's the thing with sales, you did the research. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
have your mountain of
Oh,
evidence.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
good.
well, that's what's so cool. So when someone is like, I'm trying to get certain, I'm trying to get sold, but I don't know how to get sold. Literally, Judy, when you Google what is the payoff, what is the value of, what are the benefits of having local honey, and the Google search, it just goes layers after layers after layers after layer after layer. You just find all this stuff. And I will tell you, Judy, can I tell you what my life is dedicated to? It's to getting people 2 feet in, number one, and it is dedicated to find supporting evidence to prove my case.
Hmm.
Dedicated. So I'll show you this book. Would you like to see the book I'm reading right now, Judy?
Yes. What you got?
So I'm reading this book called Alter Ego.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, like, one of the things that it's talking about a lot is basically how to slip into an identity without having to like go to therapy and stuff, like having to like deal with all the trauma and the disbelief and the imposter syndrome. Like, how do you just like deal with that later, put it on a shelf and slip into who you want to become right now?
Hmm.
And so right now I'm like building evidence. I'm trying to build my case of how you can slip into the sales girl identity right now. And actually, like, I'm searching, I'm ravenous for information and evidence to prove my case all the time. And so I just have notes after notes after Google Doc, always trying to find the substance to say, hey, don't just take it from me.
Hmm.
Look at all this stuff. And that's what I said about you. I was like, I can tell you have tons of substance. I can tell that you've done some research. I can tell you've done some speeches. I can tell, Judy, you know what's up just
Hmm.
by hearing a few words coming out of your mouth. And Judy, I'm curious to know if you've ever been to a conference and you experience a speaker and you can tell within an instant they know their stuff or they don't.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
have the roots or they don't. You can tell like that. They
Okay.
read or they don't read literally so quickly. And it's just from the roots of doing a little bit of studying and also delivering a message. So I said, Judy, I can tell you're a speaker. I can totally tell because when you speak consistently, you have to learn how to present your essence, which is like the spirit within you.
Hmm.
And that's hard to do. That ain't easy, but you only do that through practice. And so that's why I love encouraging people. I have the Sales Girl protocol where I'm like, you read every day and you present a message every day. So you can develop your essence and develop transferring that essence. And it
Mhm.
only comes through reps. I know I'm talking a lot, but I just watched this
That's good.
reel of this guy. He was like 100 days. He was like, if you commit to doing something for 100 days, you will do it so much that it'll like change you,
Mhm.
that you will start to see yourself differently. And I'm
What
like,
are you doing? What's your latest? I'm doing for 100 days. What are you doing?
what I'm actually doing 75 hard right now.
Oh, gotcha.
Do you
Okay.
know what that is?
Yep, I sure do.
Yeah. So this is my third time doing it.
Oh, wow.
And I have had the biggest transformations when I've done 75 hard by far. It has made me lock in like never before. Um, so I'm doing my reading, my walking, my workouts, my water, my all of that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you present a sales message every day, you change forever. So
Mhm.
that's what I always encourage people to do.
I'm in. I'm in. And the 4 levels of value that Myron,
Yes.
your coach and someone who I admire greatly, I consider him a mentor of mine. And one day I will work with him. He's like the 4 levels of value. The fourth one, imagination. It took me a while to understand what he's talking
Yeah.
about. But all along, I've been referring to something I call power thinking. I'm
Mm,
a former trial lawyer. Like, real quick, I sat there on the first day of law school, and the dean said, "Welcome. You're going to be given the keys to the kingdom." And I'm like, "What?" And they go, "And how you're going to unlock is by learning how to think." And I don't mind telling you,
so
Macy,
good.
I was like, thinking,
Yeah.
wait, how much am I paying to go to Villanova to think? Like, that's not what
Wow.
I think. But that is where the juice is. So when you hear Macy talking about evidence, and she is ravenous, I love
Yeah.
that word, about accumulating evidence of
Mm-hmm.
locking into that sales girl,
Mm-hmm.
persona. That is who you are. Like,
Yeah.
and the fact that I've done the research, I am
Oh,
graciously reading and learning. And so that's
constantly.
the thing. So that if someone's listening and they're like, "Ooh, I've hit a ceiling," or "I can't get to those 10K months," or "I can't get to whatever K months," you fill in the blank. This is where you need to go. You need to think and obsess over your best client. How can I get
Mm,
them further? What are they not believing? What are
mm,
they not doing? But first, what are they not believing? But
mm.
all right,
So good.
let's talk about the Sales Girl Summit, because
Okay.
if we can change my life,
What
I'm
what makes you say that, Judy?
yeah, I've been trying to think, because I was talking about this with some clients and they're like, "Well, what changed?" And I said, I'm not the same person. Okay.
Mm,
I don't know if my husband sees it. I feel it. And there was something that happened in day one. And I'm always I haven't always been a mindset believer. Okay. I was
I
one of the
see that.
do girls. And so look, that's all nice and fine. Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
I feel that too.
Yeah, yeah. But over the years, I've come to understand that was what has been missing. And so with something, I don't even know if it was you or Kat, or just the whole experience was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going for
Wow.
your highest, and best
Wow.
offer, because that's who I am. And why wouldn't I do it? So
Mm,
so it was just so amazing. And so, I mentioned to you that I'm hosting an in-person event coming up
I
in
know.
so
No, is it a what who is it for again, Judy?
it is for all Christian entrepreneurial women. It's
Oh,
called Social Business Live, and it's happening on the beach. So we work hard a couple days, and
play
then
hard.
at night, that's right, work hard, play hard. That's my motto. So we're
Let's
nearly
go.
25% sold out. God is so good. But I would
Oh
love for you to speak, Macy, for just a moment about, especially whether as a participant or in particular as a speaker as well, what happens in the room,
my
belly
gosh.
to belly, that simply can't be replicated in a 2D Zoom. It's like you almost
So
can't even
I it's
focus.
so I have so many thoughts. Like I joke about being manic about certain like topics, and currently events is what I am absolutely psychotic about right now. And I'm in a couple of masterminds, and I have been to probably a dozen events in the last like 7 or 8 months. I got a 1 year old, I got a 3 year old. Like it is no joke getting out of town and packing everything up and leaving the team, leaving the business, rescheduling. It's no joke. But nothing has transformed me more than immersing myself into environments. Zig Ziglar says, if you want to know what your life looks like in 5 years, change the books that you read and the people you're around. And what's cool, let's talk about mindset work, Judy. Mindset work is, I get what you're saying. You're like, tell me what to do. That's totally my personality as well. But what I found is like the mindset work is actually just as difficult as knowing what to do. And it can be really challenging to get kind of nitty gritty and get to know how you're thinking. I'm a certified life coach, so I've really learned how to go on that journey. But what I have found about being in a room is that you don't actually have to do a ton of mindset work, but you let the room transform you.
Mm,
So you can sit in a room and it's like the environment and the people and the world that has been created, it actually transforms. You just have to sit and absorb.
yeah. Yeah.
And what I have learned is I like have always kind of lived in this ordinary world, like my version of an ordinary world. And when I go to these events, it's like someone else's extraordinary world.
Mm,
And it's
mm,
this extraordinary world where people like make a ton of money and they're like super positive and they're amazing parents and they have so much time with their kids. And I'm like, it's like fairy godland. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it's like Willy Wonka, you're like, "What? That's possible? That's possible? That's possible?" And then you take a little piece of that with you into your ordinary world to create your own extraordinary world.
mm,
And that has been the fastest thing for me. The fastest track that I have found has transformed me the most is
mm.
sitting in a room in someone else's extraordinary world and absorbing their essence in a way that you cannot do online. In fact, I told Myron this. I was like, your YouTube channel is good. Like your stuff is good, obviously. But nothing is like just being around you and just watching you interact with people and like watching how you walk, watching what excites you, what doesn't excite you, what questions. That is what transforms you, not the YouTube content. The YouTube content is amazing, but nothing like experiencing the essence
Yeah.
that can only be done in an actual room.
Yeah. I get you. And I love what you said, immersion.
Oh yeah.
So that on a Zoom, you can get distracted. I
Oh
face the
yeah.
front of my house. I can't tell you how many times the enemy's a son of a gun. And right when
Mm.
I go live, ding dong,
Oh
somebody's
yeah.
or something's going on. But when you are at a live event, you are immersing yourself in an atmosphere like no
Yeah.
other. And my mission that God put me on is to normalize miraculous results. And so
So good.
thank you, Lord. We need to expand our awareness of what other people are doing. Because right now we're
Yes.
living in our little bubble and we may hop into rooms virtually, but only when we're having dinner together and
Yes.
having small breakouts together and
Yes.
really having conversations and understanding, wait, you're doing what? Like,
Yes.
you're doing that. And so you're making the net connections and you're doing collaborations. It's just the most beautiful thing. So,
Oh, I cannot agree more. I was reading, I've read this book called Scaling Up. It's a good book, but I can't even remember the story, but I just remember this guy who had a very successful business. His belief of what grew the business was the most was eating together with his team.
wow.
Like
So
he
out of left field. Like, I don't, yeah.
but what you said was like eating with people, like at an event, you know? He's like
Yeah.
the act of like breaking bread with somebody and like being in their circle like that, there's nothing that will bond you and will move like it just there's something really special about those moments like in the hallway and brushing shoulders and standing in line in the bathroom and getting your food at the buffet. Like that's actually, in my opinion, why I go to events. The
Mhm.
content is always amazing. But I love those quick moments. They're so huge. They're so huge. And that's why when people ask for virtual, I'm like, is it even helping to offer it? I don't know. So next year we won't offer Summit virtual. I just decided that for sure. Because
Mhm.
it's just not it.
Yeah. I mean, you really, that's the word, the essence. When you're
Yeah.
in the room, you get the essence that just
Yes.
come through the flat screen.
Yes.
I have one more question, then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
I love how you emphasize always be ready.
Oh yeah.
Always be ready. So
Yes.
ready for what and ready how?
It's a good question. Um, there's one time in my life where I had a neighbor, actually, it's in this house that I'm currently in, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And I knew, the next time I see her, I'm gonna make sure I give her a big hug because that wasn't like her to not show her face. And she was always like watering the plants and walking her dogs. And she has 5 kids. Like she was always just around. And I hadn't seen her in months. And I saw her husband. I was like, how is she? He was like, she's okay. That was kind of like her tone. And I was like, man, the next time I see her, I'm going to hug her and love on her and encourage her. Well, the next time I saw her, I had like woken up about an hour ago and my hair was on top of my head. I don't even know if I was wearing a bra. Like I just was rolled out of bed and I went to go get the mail and I saw her and I ran inside. I ran inside.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
so embarrassed. I was so ashamed. I didn't want to be seen, you know?
Mm,
And I made that moment about me when she really needed, like, she needed to know that, like, I loved her and I was there to encourage her. You know what I mean?
mhm, I
And that
do.
was my moment. I was like, I will never not be ready for any opportunity to step in,
Mhm,
whether it's to jump on Instagram stories or to roll down my window, like when I see somebody that I know and say, "Hey, how are you?" There was another time, like an opposite experience where I was leaving for work and I had just gotten my colors done. I know that we talked about colors a lot. I just got my colors done, so I was feeling like pretty good. I had my lipstick on, and I was like so excited to go to work that day. And I saw somebody that I just met at the pool, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna roll my window down. I felt ready. And I
mm,
rolled my window down, and what was cool, Judy, is she was like, "Man, I love your outfit. Like, what do you do for work?" Which opened the door
mhm,
for, like, I get to tell you about the mission and the passion and the payoff that could be on the other side of, maybe we're gonna work together. Maybe she knew somebody that could work with me.
right.
And so I had those two stark opposite experiences of me hiding and me being ready. And I was like, that right there is where it's at. Being
Mm,
ready to make eye contact, being ready to smile at someone, being ready to encourage, and being ready to sell if the opportunity presents itself.
mhm.
And I will say, like, I just believe there's so many opportunities waiting for me every day. I just better be ready for them. And they almost always show up.
That's right. What you expect, you will find. Right.
Period, Judy.
You will
Period.
find. All right. So in the show notes are all the places to find you. So listen to the podcast, go watch the YouTube channel. I mean, sales girls are amazing. Is there one nugget of wisdom you either want to drop or emphasize before
Mm.
we
Man, I just always love to speak to the moms and the moms who have kids that are at a weird age that it might not make sense to like do your thing, but I just want to encourage the mom that you can be the person that when you tell your kids that they can be anything and do anything in their life, that they will look at you and know that you mean it
leave?
because you're doing it too.
Mm, amen. Amen. You don't know this. My first business, my three boys were 2, 3, and almost 7. The craziest time, but one is an entrepreneur today. And I've no doubt, and he's my baby because he was the one I take with me. So
Wow.
all that you're doing, Macy. So
Thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing that with me, Judy.
Sure, sure. And thank you for sharing your pearls of wisdom.
Oh, thank you, Judy. You are a superstar, and everyone who's listening, like, you 100% are in the right place with the right leader, listening to the right heart and spirit. So, Judy, well done on what you built. I can't wait to keep working with you.
Me too, Macy. Thank you. Ladies, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.